It is absolutely my pleasure to introduce to you the Academy Award-winning producer and director of The Shape of Water, the director of Nightmare Alley, Vision in Darkness and Light. Please welcome Guillermo del Toro. Well, Guillermo, I gotta ask, after The Shape of Water, what were you looking for? And did you already sort of have Nightmare Alley? Because I know you love the book. In your mind, that was
the
going to be your
book
best.
I read in the 90s, in the early 90s, and it was impossible to think about making it, but we tried. Ron and I. Ron wanted to play Stan, he was young enough. And we went to Fox and we said, "You haven't seen my movie, it's called Kronos, and I'm a Mexican director, but I want to do this." And they went, "No." No, also there was some problem with the rights or something. But it stayed in my mind, and the thing with Shape of Water is, I say, and people think I'm being philosophical, but it's true. When you hit any success is when you need to stop and scare yourself again. Because if you repeat what got you there, then you lose your instincts. So every time I do a very weird turn. Well, I do it in every movie. I do only weird turns. But I remember with Pan's Labyrinth, I went and did Hellboy 2. I said, I gotta get it made, and bam. And I think that with Shape of Water, it was a matter of trying to learn something new. And all of my life, I've been a fan of noir and hard-boiled literature, because I think there's a very interesting moment in America where the prose emerges from the punchy prose of Hemingway. It's a moment in which America is reckoning its identity with the industrial urban brutality and the pastoral ideals that founded the country. And the clash makes this, for this absolutely frontal, brutal piece of literature that starts taking shape, not only on the noir and detective stuff, but on They Shoot Horses, Don't They, Day of the Locust, Miss Lonely Hearts, and in painting, you have Thomas Hart Benton, Grant Wood, Edward Hopper, all of which were a big influence in this movie. And I thought, this is a moment of massive anxiety that we're in. Everybody wakes up with a suffocation. And I thought it's so hard to get your coordinates about what's true and what's false right now. Yeah. At least for me it is. And I think we are blurring not only that, but we're blurring the very tenets of the dialectic of what it is to communicate from one human to the other. And I thought this is time for Call Stanton Carlyle into existence, because that's what he represents for me. There's also, we're working with closed systems of truth, which means that we only curate our instruments of learning the world with things that reaffirm what we already believe. And that's extremely difficult to get out of, because it's an addiction. It's an addiction to things that are hollow, like fame, clicks, followers, whatever it is, and we start going into a little spiral. And I thought, this is the guy. This is the guy to talk about that, to talk about addiction, even if it's material or not, et cetera, et cetera. So, in we went to a very scary movie to make, but worth it for me.
The thing is, when I saw the film for the first time in color, it didn't occur to me until I was really thinking about it overnight, processing it. That this movie is really a departure for you in the extent that there's nothing genre about it. It's grounded. It's a grounded film. Was that one of the things that made you go, this is going to be scary for me because it's going to be different in that way?
Well, it has. Here's what I thought. I thought I can make it be a dark fairy tale. I can make it be a nightmare. I can make it be more dreamlike. So we made decisions about it from the beginning, and I would love to talk to you about it. If we go a little longer, screw it. But I think that the beauty of it is, he wakes up in realities. You know, he doesn't get there. We follow him and then we don't follow him. He wakes up and he's in the garden. He wakes up and he's in a luxury hotel. He wakes up and he has lost everything as a vagabond. He leaves the carnival in the middle with a happy ending. He has the book, the girl, the love, the act, and he says the world and everything in it. And then we cut and it's 2 years later and he's unhappy. And the movie is built like a circle. He's crying at the end and then you can go straight to him dragging the corpse. He's remembering that and then the movie starts over again and comes back to that. Is pregnant with visual beauties. Like we have, once he goes to the city, every set is an alley, or every set is a circle, like the geek pit. If you see the cabaret is a circle, his rehearsal room has the circle mirror, the circle window. When he's going through the lie detector, there are the 3 circles and the 3 lamps on the ceiling, etc., etc. And at the end, in the final scene, he is behind him. There's a giant circular window, and everything that has happened in the movie is in that trailer at the end. The medal the guy has is the medal of the sheriff. The color of the trailer is the color of the geek pit. The baby, the radio, the posters, all that is like, there are 2 scenes in the movie that show you the whole movie in a capsule. That one and the fun house. In between the devil and death, all the sins that Stan is gonna go through are represented in there. And so we wanted to make it, we used to call it a Jungian nightmare. Because it's full of symbols. And all that, the reality is a little heightened. So there is an element of that. And if I may, the character is a brother to the villains of Devil's Backbone, Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water. The character, the Devil's Backbone villain is described as a prince without a kingdom, a man without love, which is what this guy is. The villain of Pan's Labyrinth is a guy that has a huge problem with a shadow of his dad, which this guy is. And Michael in the Shape of Water is the loneliest man in the movie, which this guy is. Wow. Anyway, what was the question?
You answered it like in the middle somewhere. You know,
it's a very lonely life painting models.
The production design in your films, it's like when you were watching a film directed by Guillermo del Toro, am I right? You know it. You absolutely know it because your production design, your costume design, the makeup, but this felt like a Guillermo del Toro movie, but it still felt different. So what were the challenges for the production?
I changed the way I shoot, in the sense that I was so proud since I was a kid until Shape of Water. All those years I edited on camera mostly. Meaning I shot only the little pieces. I didn't do masters and coverage generally. And I was so proud of that. I felt so smart about it. And then I'm shooting Kate and Bradley in one of those sessions. And all of a sudden I find myself watching the movie rather than making it. I am like, oh, what is gonna happen? This is interesting. And then I started seeing that they started doing things that I didn't expect. They started discovering the characters for me, and I thought, I can't say cut. I can't say cut. So I started shooting everything on every one of the shots. I would shoot the whole scene and see what we found. Collaborating with Bradley became so absolutely, I used to say we have 4 eyes on the set, you know? We have the collaboration where we're constantly seeking, and he would be on the set. He was 99% in the movie, but even when he wasn't, he was on the set, and we would discover things. He would say, what if I offer the geek a cigarette? What if, for example, the scene with the sheriff, it was written really slow. He would come in and little by little seduce the sheriff, very much like a grifter. And he said, I want to do it running. Because otherwise this guy would take me. And we said, let's try it. And he comes in running, no, sir, the electricity, the wheel is turning, the electricity, blah, blah, blah. And we went, oh fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's do it that way. And so on and so forth. I mean, we would discover things on the day. And many other things were planned minutiously on stage.
Sure.
It was not all discovered, but it is the first time where I learned to listen to the movie. And I'm sure.
So, describe that.
Describe you every day. Look, I always say directing is a hostage negotiation with reality. People say, "Oh, the vision." You go, "What vision?" I gotta make the day. You know, if this is not working, I go for another solution. That's partially listening, but listening really to the movie is you show up much earlier. You rehearse, and then you see if there's other possibilities you have not considered. And it's not just opening yourself to the accident, but actually embracing it. I'll tell you this story. The final shot of the movie, we made the whole movie as a prologue to the last 3 minutes of the film. Because that's what the movie is about. It's about that horribly sacred moment when you see yourself in a mirror at the end of your life, which unfortunately we all are going there. By the way. All our tickets are punched and it says death. Okay, here we go. And we knew that moment was going to be the most scary moment because it was written in the screenplay. This is a single shot and everything is on his face. No cuts, no music, no soundtrack, nothing. It's the camera, the naked actor, and the lens. That's it. And Bradley and I were like thinking, well, you know, we'll carry that half of the trailer everywhere we go, and we'll shoot it as many times as we need. We'll prepare, and we'll shoot it every week, and we'll shoot Blake Nelson out, and we'll shoot you 20, 30, 40 times. And then one morning, Miles, my partner, producing partner, comes in and says, "There's hurricane level winds, you gotta shoot the ending." And we were completely unprepared, in the sense that we had not specifically signaled it. I said, "I can't do it." And he said, "Well, then we're gonna lose the day." And I looked at Bradley, and Bradley went, "What's the worst that can happen?" What can we lose? So we went at it, and he was already in a costume for the other scene. He changed, he did the beard, the hair, came in, we shot it, we rehearsed it, two rehearsal takes, and what you see in the movie is the first complete take. And we got it. We got it on the first complete take.
Amazing, amazing. So just, let's see, today's Friday, so 2 days ago, we had the SAG Award nominations, and Cate Blanchett was nominated for supporting actress
Yeah.
for this movie. She is fantastic in this movie.
Yes.
Talk about that, and especially the scenes that she has with Bradley. Which
No,
is
we wrote most of the parts for the actors that got them. We wrote them specifically for her. I had developed a noir series for Cate that never got made. It was called the Nutshell Murders, and it took place in LA in the 40s, and we had many meetings about it and why I wanted to do noir, because again, I've been trying to do noir since I was a kid. In fact, my first movie was gonna be a Mexican noir, not Chronos. And finally, I was able to do it, but I talked to Cate. We got along so much. She's so easy to get along. She's incredibly light, which is, she's nobody knows this, so now I'm gonna tell you. We had such a good time in this movie that she says, "I wanna play a part of Pinocchio." And I said, "The only part left is a monkey, and I'll play the monkey." And she plays the monkey. And she's the whole movie, and she, it's like Cate Blanchett. But that's the spirit in which she works. She's fascinating, and it's such a precision. The line, which I love, the line, you're nothing but an Okie with straight teeth. Yeah. Every take, between the T and the R, her lip trembled. In every single take. You can say, "Look, change this," she changes it. But she is really precise and very real. Now, the risk, and it's diminished in the black and white, but we knew that it was two parts. We knew that the carnival was gonna be one texture, and then it was gonna be a place that was honest about being dishonest, and then you went to the city that was gonna bring a lot of different style. The language changes.
Yeah.
Stan, who didn't talk for the first half much, can't stop talking.
Yeah.
And with Kate comes a rival that brings all the classic cinema with her. The camera moves differently, the language rhythms are differently, and it's not an easy thing to deliver. And she did it. She was channeling Katharine Hepburn, she was channeling, you name it, Barbara Stanwyck, she was Minnie, Lauren Bacall, she was and she knew the precision of the acting. Because Lilith, if you see it again, she is really studied the way she moves. She said, how would you define Lilith? And I said, we're gonna give you your patch of prairie, and you're the alpha predator in there. So you move like a lion or a tiger would move in the hill that belongs to them. So move very precisely in your area. And she moves very much like a large cat.
Well, she won an Academy Award for playing Katharine Hepburn in The Aviator, so she was like right at home doing this. So every movie has its own set of unique producing and directing challenges. But while you were making this movie, you had the mother load, because after you were done filming the first part of the film, in March of 2020.
The second part of the film.
It was the second
which
part.
we shot it first, yeah.
So how did you deal with the lockdown? How long were you? Was your hiatus?
We were 6 months down, and we counted. I counted in pounds. Bradley lost 15, and I found them all. And a few more on top of that, because that Uber Eats thing is not a good thing. It's too easy. But what happened? How do we measure it? I'll tell you how. We finished. We were interrupted in the middle of the lie detector test. So between Bradley saying a thing and Richard listening, there are 6 months. A shot and the counter shot. Or to be even more precise, the last day with Rooney Mara, we were shooting Hair in the Garden, and she came to me and said, Guillermo, don't tell anyone, but I'm pregnant. And then when she came back with the baby. So there is that much time. And in the meantime, we had to shoot the movie. We were so silly. We had shot every scene with 4 or 5 characters, and we were pending all the scenes with hundreds of extras. So we had to do COVID controlling. We did 15,000 COVID tests. But I tell you, I blessed the day I got this cast, and I blessed the day they came into my life. Everybody was into it. Bradley Cooper is the best partner as a producer and as a star, and he just said, I'll leave, I'll come back, and once you say Bradley's coming back, then everybody goes, okay, well, I'll come back. And everybody came back, and everybody was fearless, and some people had a week of shoot left, and they had to stay for 7 weeks, so it was a beautiful lesson for me. I realize how lucky we are to be doing what we do, and I destroy my life for the movies I make. Otherwise I'd be a svelte athlete, but it's worth it.
The prospect of having your movie shut down in the middle for 6 months may sound like a nightmare. No pun intended. But how did the hiatus actually help you?
It did. It did, because we were able to edit all the material that we had shot until then, and it gave us the black and white. Because here's what happened. We edited the second half over 6 months, and when there was nothing more to edit, I started watching it in black and white. And I went, And I said, why don't we shoot the carnival, and I keep the values of, because we were shooting it. The basic layer was what is called 3-point lighting, which is the classic studio lighting, and we were shooting it with a very classic approach to the image. But once I saw that, I said, well, this is gonna benefit the carnival. Yeah. And we started accentuating certain things, chiaroscuro, illuminating the fog, blah, blah, blah. And we had another third of the second half to shoot. So we were able also to bring that to the city. And then I didn't know how to break the news to the studio that I wanted that. So we were in a deli having a meeting, and I said, there's something I want to ask you, and the key is, the clue is gonna come with what I'm gonna order, and I said, can you bring me a black and white cookie? And coffee for the table, you know, and they said, look, we cannot release it just like that, but we can have a second version that we release shortly thereafter.
Yeah, so how many of you have had a chance to see Nightmare Alley in color? Okay, tell me, I think this movie looks even better in black and white. I mean, how many
Except
of you agree with that?
it has two moments. There are two things that when he says, this is the blue box and this is the red box, you go, oh, he's screwed. Not that he sees it in black and white, but it's an involuntary consequence. The other thing, for those that saw it in color, the color red in the movie is so important in color, as it leaves, when they leave the carnival and all that, and only Molly's in red in the city. It's a gorgeous movie both ways. I started, the first person I showed it to my wife, to Kim, and then I showed it to Bradley. And the rest of the time we would call and say, man, the only version is color. Man, the only version is black and white. I said, it's like Betty and Veronica with Archie. Oh, it's Betty, man, it's Betty. No, it's Veronica.
Because I just feel like because of the time period it takes place and the style of the noir aspect of watching it in black and white is just so, like I was watching it with you, and I just went like, oh my God, this like.
It's much more gritty.
Yeah.
It's much more gritty, and it lands the darkness of the movie in a different way, that's for sure. But not for you to have to spend your hard-earned money, but if you can see it in color, see it in color. But what it does, look, Noir is fantastic because basically it was a massive fuck you to the system. It was, the game is rigged, and the only way you can escape from it is through violence and disobedience, basically. That's why the femme fatale is so fascinating on film, because it's the only way a woman would have agency at that time, you know? And it's fascinating to see them take agency and be so strong. And then, the reality for me is it's still rigged, and it's still fucked up, and it's still applicable. And I think it's a genre that I wish did more and more comebacks, because that genre reflects exactly the era in which it's made.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the Mitchell noirs are one thing, Elliot Gould and Long Goodbye is post-Vietnam noir. The 80s noirs, the 90s noirs are these broad-shouldered, neon-colored, greedy noirs, and this is a noir about being scared every day of your life. Yeah.
Well, your cinematographer, Dan Boston.
No, yeah.
Your fourth time working together.
Fourth time, and we've been working together since 1996.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what were the challenges in terms of thinking black and white and making a movie in color?
Well, when we were doing it, we already were using, if you notice, the black bars and the close-ups. We were using, we made some decisions that sounded crazy, but they were really good bets. And it was, let's shoot the star in the shadows and from behind a lot of the time. Because he's such a liar that actually the audience knows what he's thinking. He gives the bottle to Pete, and then in the breakfast, we don't even see his face. We know what he's thinking. Or he's following Pete, or he tells Pete, can you teach me? And then we see him from behind. And the other bet we did, which goes hand in hand with that, was let's have the star of the film not talk for the longest time, you know? And then when he talks in the dark to the geek in the funhouse. And those were decisions that were made with Dan. And then Bradley was so into it that Brad would sneak a little light for his eyes, and Bradley says, no lights, I'm the star. No lights. Instead of the opposite, which is what usually happens. And Bradley would say, why do you light that fetus with such love? and not me. I love that little guy.
You got to film the last scene of the movie. What was the last scene that you actually shot? And what was it like when you said, especially because you had a 6-month shutdown, when you said, that's a wrap?
I'll tell you, because this is something I don't discuss much. I tweeted the other day about it, but it's a fascinating thing. It was the running over of Anderson. It is so elaborate, and we never discussed it. We didn't discuss it on the making of book, nothing. And it's so elaborate. We actually reproduced that car, the entire car, life size, in foam. So we could actually run him over. So we run him over. It's in a pulley system, and a rail system, and the guy, when you see the guy get frontal hit, and you see his legs going like this under the carriage, that's real. We had the actor, we hit him and dragged him. And we were shooting that in the middle of a cold day in Toronto, cold night, with the pulley system, and we knew that Holt, the actor, was gonna be in the snow, laying down, and I said, I need to celebrate the ending with my actor, so we ordered tacos. And everybody had tacos, and the tacos stayed with us for a few days after that. But that was the last scene, yeah.
So last question is this. They
went very fast.
It goes fast. Time flies when you're having fun here.
Oh, damn it.
But the question is this, and seriously, I mean, for everybody who is here, especially for you, the movie business has really taken a beat. A lot of things have taken a beating over these last 2 years, but the movie business especially. How important is it for people to support this medium? And you're all here, and we are so grateful that you were here.
Yeah.
But movies need to be seen on the big screen.
Look, the fact is, I think a movie is, a film is the ambition of image, the ambition of theme, the ambition of risk. Movies that normally no one does. Oh, that's a great movie for me. I cannot be a believer that this experience is gonna go away. I can't. I believe this is gonna stay. And in some form it's gonna change. And I wonder, what would Mozart think if I went back in time and I said, look, people are gonna listen to your sonata while jogging, or dead while prepping a soup. They would say impossible. The relationship we have with images and stories is changing, but this is a vital part of it. So all I can say is, look, there is an agreement that for me is very sacred with the audience, which is I do everything I can in my power to succeed with the stories I do. Success for me is fucking up in your own terms, nothing more. Just I'm faithful to what I believe in, and I tackle the movies with passion. And I love seeing you here. I do. I love it. The director is, when somebody tells you directors are fast cars and models, yeah, the models I was assembling. My Chrysler that I drive, No, it's because really I do it to have this contact. The director is actually a really lonely profession. You open the bar, you turn on the light, you serve the drinks, you clean the puke, and you turn off the light and close the bar. And my only moment of solace, which in this movie was very difficult because of the pandemic, is being able to do this. So each and every one of you is hereby deputized to talk about this movie to anyone that wants. Please, you don't have a badge, but we don't need those sticky badges. I'm okay with that.
So a couple of announcements. So we have sign posters for everyone in the front row. A second request is if you could please stay seated while Guillermo exits the theater.
Is there any question you guys want?
Okay.
All right, those 3 questions.
Okay. You go first. You had your button here.
I was just wondering how the industrial look of Hamilton and Buffalo, the old buildings, influenced you, and then
Yes.
also how the Canadian crews made you feel on the shoot.
Yes. Look, I've been doing movies in Toronto since 1996, but consecutively for the last 10 years. And I love the crews in Toronto. We are family. Whenever we can on Fridays during the shoot, we go to the camera truck and eat cheese and drink cheap wine. I know everybody, I know their families, I know their lives. We get along fantastically. I love Toronto, I love Hamilton. It's a city that is very close to Toronto and is very dear to my heart. It's a city that is exploding with creativity, great food, that's very important. And in Buffalo, it's a city I'm obsessed with, you know, from a historical point of view. It's on Crimson Peak, it's on this movie. Buffalo was a city that was very rich, very prosperous, very important in American history, and all of a sudden it stopped. It's like Pittsburgh in that respect, you know? But architecturally it's incredibly interesting because you have a catalog of almost every architectural style of the 19th and 20th century, and is rendered in this movie lovingly. That's Buffalo, New York, and Toronto and Hamilton combined to create a minute sense of period. This movie, everything is there, from the popcorn bag to the prices that we had to reproduce from props from a carnival in the 30s. Everything is there, but without the cities, we wouldn't have that. So those cities are very important. I am an honorable Buffalonian. There was Guillermo del Toro Day. I tried to abolish fat content. It was not successful, but you know, I love those cities.
I saw a question over, yeah, you, in the mask.
Yeah, hi. Absolutely love this movie. The way you crafted the tension, underlying tension in every scene. We kind of know that it's not going to end well for the main character, but still we kind of want to know more every scene, basically. So what was the most challenging or the hardest scene for you to film?
Thank you. Great question. Look, the movie, number one, there are two things that are very difficult on this movie. The main character, in Noir, Noir is American tragedy. But in tragedy, the Greeks have the gods against them. And destiny is what grinds the human being. In American tragedy, in Noir, the inexorability of a terrible ending is there, but it comes from the decisions of the characters. So I said, what can I open with that can be hanging over the audience for the entire movie? I'm gonna have him dragging a corpse and burning it. I'm burning the house, you know? And then the beautiful thing is we tried a structure in reverse. You think it's a brutal act, and it is, but you learn why he did it in the course of the movie. And right when you start to understand why he did it and you have a little empathy for him, he's doing the worst things in the movie. Because I think that we are, us humans are not good or bad, we're composites. And I want to defend the right to be imperfect for anyone, and to have the hero have horrible things, because we all were saints at 8 a.m., at 11 we're assholes, at 1 p.m. we're heroes, at 2 p.m. we're fathers. We are not, there's not such a thing as the cartoon of somebody that is, it's impossible and suffocating. So I want you, in all my movies, to experience that imperfection. That was hard. And the second thing that was hard is you have the same character following him for the entire run of the movie. So to track it, and for Bradley to track it, and for Bradley to be the keeper of the realism and emotion of that character, is really difficult, and is a very high wire. And finally, the fact that the movie is a ramp. It doesn't have the normal structure of something exciting and then something quiet and then something exciting. It's a ramp. It starts and it feels, the first part starts lower, but you cannot lose a single minute of the first part. I tried. And it goes, and because it's a ramp, the ending lands a lot stronger. You know, if you have ups and downs, well, the ending is one more, but you have to be faithful to that acceleration. Final question.
Well, final question, Yeah, you in the hat and the mask.
Hola Guillermo, buenas noches.
Good night.
I wanted to ask, like, you talked about it a little bit when you said in the scene that Bradley Cooper chose the decision to run up to the sheriff. Is there any telltale signs that you see when you shoot something that an actor does something differently than you thought in your head? That
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, okay, that worked way better to push the story forward.
Oh, yes. No, look, some people want to say they're good actors, directors. I'd rather be a director of good actors. You know, I think that the blessing is that you have to adore the actor and recognize that the blessing is having that person. You know, I can tell you, we would stay here hours if I told you everything Bradley or Kate or Rooney or Ron or Toni Collette or David Strathern, amazing cast. What they gave me was treasure upon treasure upon treasure of things. Toni Collette saying, "Or you faint for the effort." I go, "Oh my God, how did I get this fortunate?" You know? Or David Strathern talking about everybody wants to be seen, desperate to be understood. The way he delivers that line. You know, what I say, because I co-wrote and I write most of my movies, or co-write. When you get a great actor, you go, "I'm a terrific writer." And when you don't get a good actor, you go, "Who the fuck wrote this?" So I constantly kept looking at Kim. Good screenplay. And that is the blessing. Now, I'll tell you one accident. My favorite accident in the movie is on the last punch to Gringo. He was supposed to punch and land about 2 feet away from the lens. But he punched and fell and landed, and Bradley landed on character. And I told the camera, stay in his eyes. And that shot is so beautiful because of that. And that was an accident. Now, discoveries, many. I thank you. You were very patient with me. I'm going to go back and paint some more models. Thank you for coming. You're hereby deputized. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.